Welcome back to Holy Cow, the Chicago Cubs show here at the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan channel. Before we start on the main segment talking about this past series against the Detroit Tigers, let's talk about where exactly the Cubs sit in the grand scheme of things. The Cubs are currently 12 games over 500, and in the playoff picture, they are 1.5 games over the Philadelphia Phillies for the number one wild card and 7 games behind the Milwaukee Brewers in the National League Central Division. Brewers are basically the best team in baseball every other night. It makes it incredibly difficult to chase them down, even though the Cubs are 18-8 over their last 26 games. I hate them. Heading into the Detroit series, the Cubs were actually riding high after a great weekend where they took 2 out of 3 from the Minnesota Twins from the opposite Central Division in the American League. After losing the first game Friday night, 5-2, the Cubs had bounced back to win the last 2 games of the series. The first game 6-2 on Saturday. Then they just took belt to the Twins on Sunday, beating them 10-1. And the stars of that show, Nico and Shota and In that series, Nico was 8 of 13 at the plate. And Shota and in the finale, 7 scoreless innings of 6-hit ball. He had great control, and he kept his pitch count right around 100 in those 7 scoreless innings. Things were looking really good. Let me stay on Eminaga just for a little bit. I know he's 6-8 on the season, and I know the Cubs are only 9-11 in the games he starts. But I feel like this is going to go down as one of those seasons in where he pitched a lot better than the record would allow you to believe. 4 his starts, the Cubs were shut out. And 3 of those starts, he pitched good enough to get the win if he has a run support. There was one start he gave up no runs, and the Cubs lost that game 0-2. The 2 starts previous to this one against the Twins, both shutouts. He lost to St. Louis and lost to the Reds. He gave up 2 earned runs to St. Louis, 1 earned run to Cincinnati. Good enough to win. In fact, in his 20 starts so far this season, he's given up 2 or fewer earned runs in 13 of them. I know he gets a lot of flack because he's a fly ball pitcher, and Wrigley in the summer, it's terrible for a fly ball pitcher. He's going to give up home runs. I think Craig Counsell spoke to it. We all know it. We've seen it. We know who Shota Imanaga is. He's going to give up home runs. But the key is to minimize them as much as you can, but you can't walk people. And I think that's where he's been really good, especially in his last seven starts. In his last 7 starts, his is actually 4-3 with a 2.31 ERA. He's given up 10 earned runs in those last 7 starts. Struck out 35. I mean, it's just like we can't get on the same page, offense and Imanaga at the same time. It's very frustrating, to be honest with you, because he's pitching better than what the record would allow you to believe. The Cubs won that series. They came out of the first series of the unofficial second half of the season, 13 games over, going into another series against another AL Central team. One on Monday night was tough because those you got to have those games. The Cubs lost 8-6 in 10 innings. Started bad. Right before the game started, Jameson Taillon, welcome back, was activated off the IL, and he picked up right where he left off, giving up home runs. I don't know if he's still on pace to break the record for most home runs given up in a season, but if he fell out of the lead on that, and if he's no longer on pace, he's trying his damnedest to catch back up. He gave up a 3-run first inning home run to Riley Green, but Cubs didn't roll over. They battled back and tied the game in the bottom of the ninth on Ian Happ's 432-foot 2-run home run. That was a historic home run for Ian Happ because that moved him past the Hall of Famer, Hack Wilson, for number 11 on the Cubs' all-time home run list. The rest of the game has to get played. Bottom of the ninth. This is what exactly lost the game for the Cubs. They had a great opportunity to have their 11th walk-off at home this season. Bases loaded, 1 out. Seiya Suzuki strikes out, swinging for the fences when all you had to do was put the ball in play. Just lift the ball up. You put Michael Busch. He comes up, he walks, keeping the bases loaded. for Alex Bregman. Bregman works a 3-0 count, takes 2 strikes, which on the broadcast, I'm led to believe Rick Sutcliffe was saying that's what he should have done. I listen to the games on the radio. I'm not paying $20 a month to Marquee, but on a 3-2 pitch, misses. He swung at something that was all the way inside, letting Kelly Jansen off the hook. Kelly Jansen had been struggling that whole bottom of the ninth. Let him off the hook with a ball. Walk would have won the game for Alex Bregman. Would have had a game-winning RBI added to his stats. Missed the pitch. Cubs go in the 10th inning, losing on a golden opportunity to win that game. Instead of having to go to the 10th inning. And because you had to go to the 10th inning, you had to put Trent Thornton out there, which is probably going to send him to the IL. Now, I'm not saying he couldn't have gotten hurt at any other point. I'm not somebody that believes in divine divinity or fate or anything like that. I just know that in the 10th inning, Trent Thornton took a 109-mile-per-hour line drive right off his foot, and he had to lead the game. Could barely walk. That's how bad that injury looked. I'm not blaming Alex Bregman. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying if we weren't in that position, that don't happen. Javier Assad, who is typically a starter, he was forced to come out of the bullpen completely cold, and he ended up giving up the winning runs. He allowed the ghost runner in and a couple of more to score. The Tigers ended up being up 8-5. Javier Assad has been great this season. Great. There's been some slip-ups, but, I mean, he's not an ace, but he's been exactly what the Cubs needed more than one occasion this season. But this one, you're going to have to, pin it on somebody, so he takes the loss. Cubs scratch one across in the bottom of the 10th, but the failure to execute in the 9th inning is what cost them this game. You cannot have games like that. You got to have it. The Tigers, I know they've been playing better as of late in the last 6 weeks of the season. You got to beat them. You cannot let them get away with games like that. They had a 4-0 lead. You came back to tie the game. You got to complete that comeback. Game 2, Tuesday, the Cubs got their lick back. Offense beat the brakes off the Tigers, 11-2. Tone was set real early in the first inning. Pete Crow-Armstrong ripped a leadoff triple. The Cubs put 6 across the scoreboard in the first inning alone. Knocked Framber Valdez right out of the game. I don't know how good that free agent acquisition has been for them. Pretty mid. He was only able to get 2 outs in that inning before he had to have his night ended early. For the Cubs on the mound, David Peterson, he was good, really good. He's been really good. I mean, other than, I guess maybe one game, he's been pretty decent for the Cubs after they got him from the Mets. He threw 6 2/3, allowing just 3 hits and gave up 0 runs and walked only 1, struck out 4 in this game. Incredible, low-stress game for the Cubs. They got out early, pretty much won that game in the first inning. Michael Conforto, he hit a 2-run pitch hit home run in the bottom of the 5th. It was one of those games you just like to have, especially after the previous night where they just gave one away. You want to get this one out the way early. And the Cubs did that. Wednesday, Cubs lose 5-1 in the rubber match, and terrible offense in this game. Seiya Suzuki hit a solo home run in the first inning, and that was about it. That was literally the only offense the Cubs could manage. Even the remaining 2 hits that the Cubs got after that was an infield single and a fluky double that bounced off the base over someone's head. It was terrible offense. And I'm not saying that to disrespect Tiger starter Keter Montero, because he was filthy out there. The book is out on the Cubs. Everyone knows that they struggle against breaking balls. I think half of his pitches were breaking balls, sliders, knuckle curves. He had 8 strikeouts over 5 1/3 of work, 1 run ball. The Cubs struck out 12 times as a team and didn't draw a walk into the 9th inning. Colin Ray was the Cubs starter in this game, and he was all right. But he gave up that 7th inning 3-run home run to the 8th hitter. That pretty much nailed the door shut. The Cubs had a chance to come back. At some point, when you get Montero out, you could probably find your way against one of the relievers. Once you put them in a 5-1 hole, that was it. Let's talk about best and worst players from this series. Pete Armstrong, firmly in the MVP conversation, and for good reason. If you are into gambling, you probably have heard Shohei Ohtani is going to take a little bit of a break from pitching for a little while, which has dropped his MVP odds to minus 525. Pete Crow Armstrong plus 350. The gap has narrowed a lot. I listened to an interview on the Score with Bob Nightingale. You all know the national MLB writer. And they asked him what was PCA's shot at winning MVP, and he basically just wrote him off. Basically said that Shohei Ohtani either had to regress drastically, get hurt, and PCA had to play Barry Bonds level and learn how to pitch. That doesn't bother me. I know he's probably just being tongue in cheek at that last part, but what bothered me is that he kept reinforcing the fact that Ohtani is a two-way player. I'm sorry. Up until the last 50 years when the DH was introduced in the AL, everybody was a two-way player. You play offense and defense. That's two ways. Being a pitcher is playing defense. You're one of the 9 players out there playing defense. What Ohtani does is no different than what PCA does. Yes, I get it that what Ohtani's doing is a bit of a marvel because we haven't seen it in our lifetimes, 2 lifetimes, right? Since the days of Babe Ruth. And what PCA and others are doing is more common. Yeah, but what PCA is an elite defender. No pitcher is that good without good defenders behind them. Nolan Ryan would be thought of a lot higher, and I know a lot of people hold Nolan Ryan in high regards, but he would even be he would be in GOAT conversations, more GOAT conversations, if he had better defense behind him throughout his career. Pitchers are aided by good defenders behind them, and PCA is one of the best defenders in the majors. For my money, the best outfielder in all the majors. Platinum glove. And what he's doing at the plate is neck and neck with what Ohtani's doing over there in LA. I don't like the dismissive attitude that just because Ohtani pitches, that no one else can be in a conversation with as best player in the league or even just MVP for this particular season. PCA affects the game in multiple ways. Hits, base running, and top of the majors defense. Argument is absurd. Now, we shall see if PCA can continue, keeping his name relevant in this conversation as the dog days of summer go through. We still got, a little bit more than 2 months left in the season. The conversation is still being made. But for right now, let's have an honest conversation. No disrespect to Ohtani. He's a dog. Future Hall of Famer. Top 10 player of all time already. But let's not say this season, this MVP discussion is already over. PCA is in this, and he's in it to stay, my opinion. PCA had a great series. He reached base 5 times in Tuesday's blowout win, including that, leadoff triple. He also got his 50th walk in fewer than 500 at bats. That speaks to that plate discipline that he's acquired over the season. Craig Counsell called him the best player in the game, and I agree with Craig. Nico Horner also deserves a shout out. He came into this series red hot, something we haven't said about Nico in a long time. As good as PCA is, I still believe Nico was the most important offensive player for this team. His defense is great, but offensively, if Nico's on, this team is a different type of team. He came out of that series against the Twins 8 for 13, and he kept putting together great at-bats. He had a multi-hit game in that loss in the game 1 of this series. And I don't want to ignore Michael Conforto either. He's proven to be a great offseason addition. Started slow, but off the bat, but he's completely embraced his role off the bench. His home run on Tuesday was his 4th pitch hit home run of this season. I mean, think about it. When the Cubs have needed clutch swings, how many times has it been Conforto at the plate? Think about it. Been there a lot. The worst from this series, Alex Bregman. At what point, bro? At what point are the Cubs going to get a return on their investment? $35 million a year for 5 years, I think his contract was what he signed for this offseason. Terrible series. His at-bats, lifeless. Monday's game, bases loaded. We already talked about it. Couldn't come up big. All we needed was a walk. For a guy getting paid as much as he has, for a guy who's had as much success as he's had in his major league career, he looks lost at times. He's just got to put it together. I'm going to continue to hold out hope that he's going to show up big when the Cubs need it the most down the stretch. But golly. I don't want to put Javier aside in this conversation, but I don't think it's fair. But he did give up those back-breaking runs in Monday's loss. Possible situation for anybody to get put into. So I'm gonna be fair to that. Finally, Seiya Suzuki. Yes, he did homer in game 3, and yes, but in game 1, critical ninth inning, he struck out swinging for the fences instead of just trying to pass the baton. You know, instead of just trying to get a make solid contact. He was swinging for the fence and just try instead of just trying to make solid contact. That's all we needed. Game over. And he got picked off second base there earlier in the game. Situational awareness has been a thing that has bit the Cubs on the ass more than a few times this season. Some injury updates, and the trade deadline is next weekend. Phil Maton, he's going to the IL for the 3rd time this season. Good. Stay there. Your season's over. Do not come back. Do not even attempt. Stay there with a knee tendonitis. He got a 6.18 ERA in the 27 innings he's pitched so far this season. A 2-year deal, 14 and a half. I don't mean to pocket watch, but again, not getting a return on the investment. He's been horrible all season. Cubs are evaluating if he would require surgery. Don't care. I don't care if he needs surgery or not. Just make sure he's not showing back up in that pen at any more points in this season. Done. Over. Come back next season. Better. Trent Thornton, he suffered a left heel contusion. Fortunately, the initial x-rays were negative for any Achilles damage, but based on that limp that he had after the game, probably going to the IL. More positive note, Hobie Milner, he's recovering from that appendix surgery, and Matt Shaw, he went to the IL with wrist soreness. Both are expected to be back with the team next weekend, beginning of August. Furthermore, Justin Steele, he's scheduled to begin throwing bullpen sessions in the first week of August. Edward Cabrera, Daniel Palencia, they're continuing their rehabs in Arizona. If all things go good, both are expected to be back with the big team in Chicago mid-August. So fingers crossed. If we don't do anything big at the trade deadline, we can still have a lot of pitching reinforcements coming back again with 6 weeks left in the season. Another note, Ben Brown, there was an update on him. They say he's doing well in his recovery from his neck issue, but no concrete timetable on his return. I think his season's over. I don't think there's anything to take out of that. Trade deadline I did just bring up. It will be here Monday, August 3rd. The Cubs front office, Jed Hoyer, Carter Hawkins, they need to be aggressive. The National League is wide open. I don't believe in the Brewers. They've got their own issues with pitching. Woodruff might be done for the year. Hamilton's on the IL. Mizorowski's got to take a step back. So, I don't know how they keep winning, but they can't keep it up, right? I hope not. I hate them. But for the Cubs, the priority has to be adding another arm. There've been rumors linking the Cubs to Terry Skubal all season. That is a dream scenario. But the Tigers, they may not move him. They might just bite the bullet and just try to continue to push their chips in for this season. Bad play, but hey, do what you want to do. It's going to cost a lot to get Terry Skubal anyway, and there's only a few teams that can, afford to pay a lot. I don't think a lot should be in anybody's vocabulary right now, especially not Jed or Carter. You don't know if there's going to be a season next year. And there's going to be a new baseball reality on the other side of these CBA negotiations. I'm sure of it. So why not? I mean, just go ahead. Prospects are prospects for a reason. They're not a sure thing. Go ahead, push them off. If you need the bat, hey, Matt Shaw's back healthy, take him too. Do whatever you got to do to win this season. The future is going to look a lot different. You don't know what that's going to look like. Don't plan for it. Go now. In the event that that's too pricey for Carter and Jed, a more realistic pitching target could be Robbie Ray. He could be a great rental acquisition as he hits free agency as well. Go all in and then say peace out after the season. There's also rumblings that the Brewers could be, thinking about moving on from Freddie Peralta. If the Cubs want to make a massive splash for the bullpen, and if the Cubs want to add something to the bullpen, Oakland's Mason Miller is probably the best one out there. Miller has 3 years of control. Miller does have some years coming on with him. He has 3 years of control left, but that will completely change this bullpen. but it would probably cost a lot to get him because obviously the control teams love to, ask for a lot when you get guys who have extended contracts. It's probably cost the Cubs a top 100 prospect like Jackson Wiggins, to name a few. Additionally, you should probably keep an eye on Clay Holmes, who the White Sox and the Cubs have been reportedly scouting. Looking ahead, the Cubs desperately needed this off day today on Thursday just to reset. Now, they pack their bags and head to Pittsburgh. Big series. And you haven't said that a lot. You haven't said that for a series against the Pittsburgh Pirates in over 10 years, 2015 to be exact. The Pittsburgh Pirates can absolutely rake. And they've got Paul Skeens. Pittsburgh Pirates sit a half game out of the last wild card spot, and they are only 3.5 games behind the Cubs in the standings. So it's a big series. Need the Cubs to pack their bats, tornado bats, all the pine tar necessary to win. This is a series that can influence trade deadline. The Pirates have a very potent offensive lineup. They got some great starting pitching, so the Cubs bats need to wake up. After the Pittsburgh road trip, the Cubs continue to go into hostile territory against the St. Louis Cardinals. Cardinals, they've tailed off a little bit as of late. They are 3 games over 500, same as the Pittsburgh Pirates. Difference is there's the word around Tampa is that they're going to be sellers at the deadline, which is what we always expected out of this team to begin with in St. Louis to begin with for this season. Not a good team. They started off hot, pack it up, go home. The Cubs need to handle their business against Pittsburgh and go ahead and ship the Cardinals right into sale mode big time. And then in this month, on a high note, the Cubs are 9-7. In the month of July. If they were to win 4 out of the next 7 games against divisional opponents, that would be great before they start the series against the New York Yankees at Wrigley Field. That's going to be a great series. I need to get tickets for that. Winning 4 out of 7 against divisional opponents who are right there behind you in the standings, amazing. And hopefully the Milwaukee Brewers can mess around and lose some games on top of that. Well, let me not say that. They got the Rockies and the Giants coming up to finish the month. Handle your business, Cubs. Fly to W. Appreciate you tapping into this latest episode from the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan channel. Don't matter if you was watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify or Apple. Make sure you like, subscribe, share with everybody on the block, and hit the notification bell so you never miss none of our daily drops. And to all the guys from the Shy, we say 3 things. Bear down, fly to W, and sell the team, Jerry.